How are you guys all doing? Everybody okay? Please let me know in the comment section where you guys are watching from, where you're tuning in from. I see we've got a couple of hundred people already in the chat, so please make sure you've hit the like button. And before I start, I'm gonna ask a favor of you guys. Give me a second, I'll put this up on the screen for you. So, right, so people always ask me, how can I donate to people in Gaza? Is there a link? Is there a GoFundMe? Well, I have one for you, okay? This is a legit link. I know the organizer personally, and it's for disabled children in Gaza. So please help them reach the goal. I'll leave the link in the description. And I'll also provide 2 more charities that are based in Palestine, not specifically in Gaza, but in Palestine, that you can also donate to. That will help. So there you go. You asked and I answered. So I see we've got people tuning in from Holland, from Bulgaria, from South Africa, from Scotland, from California, from New York, from British occupied Ireland, from Michigan, from Australia, from Pakistan, from Sofia. We've also got people tuning in from Nigeria, from Rhode Island, from France, from pretty much everywhere. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. I think you all know what happened, but now it's still, there's still some things to talk about. So this hostage rescue operation to retrieve these 4 Israelis. I mean, can you call them hostages, first of all, when they're prisoners of war? Remember, every man and woman in Israel has to join the army. And these 4 specifically, we know that they were in the army. Now, I'll come back to their status in a bit. But, there's more and more details coming out. And here's some footage that was released. This is meant as propaganda from the Israelis, like, oh, look how cool and how serious it is. What a big deal. I mean, they killed 274 people, right? Like that's the number now from the Gaza Health Ministry, 274 people. So the mentality behind all of this is that 4 Israelis are worth 274 Palestinians. And this is fundamentally how Israelis think. They really believe this. For them, Palestinians are not human beings. They are goyim. They are Amalek. It's basically another way of saying someone who is not human, a subhuman, right? Goyim, you see this in the Talmud pop up a lot, This is the mentality that Israelis have. They seriously believe this because, if this happened anywhere else in the world, like, for example, there was a supposed hostage rescue in London, and 270 people got killed, everybody would be like, well, how is this a success? You killed 274 people. How is that a success? People would be very, very angry. They would be furious. But because it happens to Palestinians, it's fine. It's fine, apparently, right? And the people that are saved are white. So that's okay. Well, more or less. So, the way that Israelis think, they don't think in terms of there is an element of white supremacy, but it's more focused on Jewish supremacy. A Jew is a Jew, and a Jew is superior to another human being. This is truly how they think. This is how the Israelis think, the Zionists think. So, when they put out these images here, I mean, sure, you can feel good for them or feel glad on a humanitarian level, I suppose. But this is not the sight that you see from Palestinians who are released, okay? As a matter of fact, if anyone had gone in to retrieve Palestinians that are being held hostage, does that ring a bell? Well, then they would get very upset. As a matter of fact, they haven't stopped whining since October 7. And that was a hostage rescue operation. You have to understand the point of October 7 is multifaceted. I've explained this to you before. one of the points was to stop normalization, but another point was to get Palestinians who are being held captive and have been there for years, for decades, out of Israeli prisons. And well, the Israelis didn't take too kindly to that, did they? Okay, so to make things to make matters worse, they didn't just go in and kill 274 people. They finally exposed the true purpose of this pier that they've been building. You remember the giant pier? I did several videos about it. They were building it and then it washed away and then it came back. It came back just in time. So as I told you from day one, this pier is a cover. They're using it to establish a military foothold, a beachhead. Now, what that purpose is, I don't know. Maybe they will dig a canal. Maybe they want to steal some gas. Maybe they want to take some oil. I don't know. I mean, again, the gas is really the prize in Gaza. It's not so much about oil. It's mostly gas and the canal. But they've used it for this. So they used the genocide pier, as we're now calling it, to rescue these 4 prisoners of war. Okay? And there's even video evidence of this.
לא, אתה לא רואה מעלים. מי זה עם הלבן שם? כן.
So you can see the Black Hawk helicopter taking off right next to the pier, and there are also there are multiple videos of them using the pier, and also to the point the Americans, they had to put out a statement which kind of just reconfirms what they used it for, because everybody noticed, where they're denying that they used it, which again, it's like, take any statement that the Americans put out and just the opposite of what they're saying is true. That's a good rule of thumb, okay? So when they're saying the humanitarian pier facility were not, including its equipment, personnel, and assets, were not used in the operation to rescue hostages today in Gaza, that's a lie. That's a lie. We have Israeli sources confirming that it was, and it's on video, so that's a lie, okay? And on top of that, they didn't just use the pier, this Trojan horse. They also got into these trucks. So the Israelis smuggled in a force of Americans and Israelis through the genocide pier. They got into trucks that looked like trucks that ship food, that ship humanitarian aid. And then they just got out of the trucks and started shooting at people. Again, the death toll is 274. That's a massacre by any means. I mean, even 10 people, you could reasonably call that a massacre, a dozen people. I'm telling you, 274 killed. 274. You know, if this happened in a European city, oh my God, right? We never hear the end of it. And perhaps rightfully so. So, again, they get out of the trucks and they start blasting at people and also firebombing it. So you had the jets coming in, they called in airstrikes. And they went into the house. So again, it's not a house, it's more of an apartment building where these hostages were. And they executed everybody who was in front of them, everybody who came in their path, who crossed their path. So I'll show you some more in a second, but just you can see here in this clip, this is one of these humanitarian aid vehicles right there being accompanied by Israeli armored vehicles. See the tanks? Okay, so it's part of the same convoy, right? Which you know it's shady, because if that truck were really carrying food, the Israelis would have blown it up. They wouldn't be protecting it. They would destroy it. Okay? That's how you can tell what is inside the truck. There's definitely no humanitarian aid in that truck. Definitely 100 million %. You get the idea. You get the idea. So they then come out of these vehicles and start shooting at people. And I want to show you some eyewitness testimony. These are, I mean, it's not just eyewitness testimony. These are the victims of this attack. Listen to what they have to say.
الأطفال والنسوان خلوهم يدخلوا البيت بعد نزلوا البيت ولا 60 شهيد. أقول لك والله ما عارفين مين هذا ومين هذا أشلاء. مش ولا واحد جثة سالمة. أنا مرة واحدة. محمد وأولاده مقطع يا محمد.
احنا قلنا في السوق الناس كانت طبيعي في السوق بتقبل العيد واضحه وفرحانه مهما في حرب وما احنا برضه ما احنا فرحانين في العيد نشتري الغد احنا قاعدين نشتري غراض وخضره عشان نتغدى كان معي صاحبي افش شوي لقينا قاعد كتر منتشر فوق انفراد فوق ال 20 واحد فوق ال 20 طياره لقينا 4 طيارات تنتين هليكوبتر خف الحدين وتنتين على البحر بس احنا طلعنا على المنظر استغربنا فش شوي مدفعين شو اسمه العند بلوك 12 البريس صارت ضغمة قذيفة وين عن سراد صار له براش تنزل ما هي وتدور وطلاق وطاق كل فجأة مرة واحدة لا حذرونا لا رموا علينا مناشير لا ولا شيء صارت الأشلاء في الشوارع
مارق في الشارع اجى شحن صف كله اواعي وكله طناجر يعني تقول واحد جاي من رفح يعزل عنا ما بنسبق الا هم نازلين بيجي 10 قوه خاصه ونزلت الطخ خطني 3 اطلاق في صدري وفي ايدي ونزلوا اشتباكات طخ بعدين ما ادريش عن حالي قصف وانفجارات في الاخر انسحبوا خذوني الشباب وطلعوا في على العوده على المستوصف تبع السوق ومن العياده من غادي اخذوني على الاقصى من الاقصى جابوني هان وما جا خبر طلعت برا ما لقيتش ولا مخلوق في السوق كله مرمى مبطع على الارض مستشهد وراسه مقطوعه مارق في
And here, this is a video from a journalist who was filming as it was happening.
الجيش عبد الله الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله الجيش دخل على المدرسة الفجائي وبدأ يعتقل بالناس وضخ بالناس إعدام في كل مكان أجانا حاصرنا تعال يابا تعال 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 يا الله لا تيجي إذا كان هذا الفيديو الأخير لي ترى يا رب رايح عليك بقلب مطمئن يا رب بقلب مطمئن يا رب يلا من هان.
This is nothing, honestly. I've seen the photos and videos of the aftermath. This is nothing. This is a joke compared to what you see of people lying on the floor, because right here you just see his initial reaction as he's running, and afterwards he gets to the hospital, and I can't show it to you. I can't show it to you, but what he films afterwards in the hospital is unbelievable, and you know where to find it if you're looking for it. Again, as they all said, you've got people with their guts, their brains hanging out. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. But according to Jake Sullivan, it's great, right? It's a successful operation to rescue 4 hostages from the grips of Hamas in Gaza. And according to David Cameron, news of the rescue of 4 hostages will be a huge relief to their families. So no mention of the 274 killed and the hundreds wounded. No mention. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. I think the only one who made any mention of the Palestinians was funnily enough Borrell from the EU. I think he's the only one who said anything, ironically. So, again, they're just Amalek. They're Goyim. The Palestinians, this is the Hebrew way of saying subhuman, essentially. This is their mentality. This is how they think. They really believe this. They have to believe. Maybe they don't think it consciously, although many of them do, but they do subconsciously, because that's how they can justify this kind of thing, this bloodbath. So I'll show you. This is a video that was released by Hamas afterwards, and they said here that the Israelis actually killed, well, the Israelis and Americans, remember, they both did this operation together. So they rescued 4 Israeli POWs, but they actually killed another 3, including an American. Okay? So they rescued 4, they killed 3, including an American, and that's in addition to the 70. 70 is a conservative figure of, hostages that they've killed already in the last 8 months with the bombing. So, if you were to calculate the military genius at work here, they're in the negative, right? They're at minus 60 something. Okay, that's where they're at. So not really successful in that view, is it? And now the Americans are trying to negotiate a deal with Hamas separately. And again, this is like news from the last hour or so. And what that indicates to me is that the Americans think, at least in the State Department, they think that the army is going to kill or end up killing the 5 other Americans that are in Gaza. And so what they're trying to do now is they're trying to get these Americans out of Gaza by negotiating with Hamas before they're killed, either by the Americans themselves or the Israelis. Okay? Because that's not even 24 hours after Hamas released that statement. And we know it's true because this is not the first time that the Israelis kill their own people and no one countered it or said that it's not true. So, to me, that's just further confirmation that this happened. And ironically, if you look at this article here from the AP, they're talking about how the hostages were mistreated, and one of the things that they cite is that the girl, she was forced to wash dishes. So washing dishes is torture. I mean, I guess so, but that's a bit of an exaggeration. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Like that is her torture. She had to cook sometimes, and she washed dishes. And this is just in the last family she was held with. So she was held with four families. And here's another thing that I found at another outlet. Okay, so this is all coming from the state broadcaster, the Khan, which is the Israeli state broadcaster. So they say that after initial conversations with the 4 POWs, medical professionals believed they were exhibiting signs of Stockholm syndrome, as the rescued hostages spoke about awful experiences they had been subjected to in captivity, while also saying that their captors cared about their well-being. As a cynical gesture, Jan's captors made him a cake for his birthday. I mean, and they learned Arabic. Some of them learned Arabic. I don't understand where the torture happened or where the, what do they call it? The awful experiences are. Well, I mean, being taken hostage, yes. Or being turned into a POW, yes. Fine. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what is it? Washing dishes? Because I'm going to tell you how Palestinians are treated in a bit, and that's really that's really awful, to put it mildly. So I don't understand this. Like, they learn Arabic and they have to wash some dishes, and then they speak well about their captors without mentioning anything specific, and then this is Stockholm syndrome to the doctors. Well, no, you're just calling it Stockholm syndrome because you want to paint the Hamas captors as bad people, but they're not. I mean, I can show you many Palestinians who've been actually, tortured by the Israelis, and none of them have Stockholm syndrome. Like, just so we're clear. Okay, so if these people actually had gone through something, they wouldn't have this. They wouldn't have this, and they don't have it in this case because you can't cite anything. You just talk about washing dishes. What is that? Someone made him a cake? This is mistreatment? I don't understand what's going on. Like, this is not Stockholm syndrome. And then in response, let me show you something. This is a 120 kilo warhead. Okay, so this was fired by Hezbollah. It's the Falak 2, and it's the first time they fired it. Okay, so for the first time, They launched this at the Israelis in response to this. Okay, these are massive. They've never used some things like this. I think they used the Falak ones a few days ago, last week, but this was the first time they used them. And then I'm going to go into detail into Hezbollah in just a second. But in response to this massacre, this is what they did. And they set these Israeli settlements on fire. They're completely up in smoke. And in response, the Yemenis did this. They fired at the HMS Diamond, which is a Royal Navy destroyer in the Red Sea. And they hit 2 commercial ships, Nordani and MSC Tavishi. Now, honestly, these responses are not anything special. They're just not. I mean, they've hit Royal Navy destroyers before, and they've hit commercial ships before. It's nothing special. I don't think that they're going to, impress anyone with that, just so we're clear. But I want to show you some more testimony from the attack itself. This is an image that somebody captured. You can see the Israelis, they use these ladders to go into the buildings. And then this is someone on the ground that they'd shot dead just for literally standing there. So that's it, just for being there. And here from Euromed, they documented these executions by the Israelis. Okay, so the Israelis used a ladder to enter the home of Dr. Ahmed al-Jamal. They immediately executed 36-year-old Fatima al-Jamal upon encountering her on the staircase. The forces then stormed the house and executed her husband, journalist Abdullah al-Jamal, 36, and his father, Dr. Ahmed, 74, in front of his grandchildren. The army also shot their daughter, Zainab, 27, who sustained serious injuries. So what the Israelis did is they just stormed this building, which has multiple apartments, and they murdered everybody inside. Okay, just so I can make that clear. And then the Israelis tried to claim that one of these people so the 36-year-old, right, the journalist, 36-year-old Abdullah Jamal, because he had written once for Al Jazeera as a freelancer, they tried to claim that, oh, Al Jazeera journalists are hiding hostages in their houses. No, it's an apartment building with multiple apartments. If you're living in that building, how are you supposed to know what's going on in the other houses? The other apartments that are in the same complex. So the Israelis just murdered everybody, and the Israelis are trying to put those things together when they have no connection really. That's the point. That's the point. Look at the difference. I want to show you the difference because you see them smiling. These hostages when they're freed. She even put on weight. Like she put on weight. So that means that when she was in captivity, Hamas were feeding her more than they were eating. Okay. So in an Israeli prison, you would be starved. But if you're a POW, again, she's a POW. She's not a hostage. She's a prisoner of war. She's an active combatant and participant in the occupation. The fact she was at a festival means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. When the IRA target British soldiers who are off duty, no one goes, oh my God, how could you do that? They're just innocent civilians. We know why they're targeted, because they're in the British fucking army. That's why. It's not a mystery. It's not like you have to bring in Sherlock Holmes to unravel why they were targeted. Is it because they're Jewish? No, they're in the British army. They're occupying Ireland. They're targeted. That's why. The same thing. This is the same thing. The fact she was at a festival is of no consequence. Ironically, when these people are captured in civilian clothes, and so many of them turn out to be in the army, it just further proves the point that they're all participant in the occupation. Okay? So the fact there was a day off literally means nothing. You're an occupying army on their soil. So in any case, she put on weight. You can see that she put on weight. That's before and after. And then I'll show you a Palestinian who's been released. Look at the difference. I mean, he looks like he came out of a concentration camp. So this is how you're treated under Hamas as a POW, and this is how you're treated under the Israelis as a civilian. They literally starve you. I saw someone else, Tamimi, who was released today. I'll show you what he looks like, just to underscore my point, okay? Look at the difference. Before and after. Okay, so there is something to be said about that, because the Israelis were claiming all sorts of things like, oh my God, they're being raped in Hamas captivity, they're being held in dungeons. It's actually the opposite. It's literally the exact opposite. And I'll prove that to you in just a second. But just again, some more photographs so you can see what I'm talking about, how people look when they're released from Israeli captivity. You know, they got limbs amputated, they can't walk, just horrific stuff, right? And also the handcuffs, they're handcuffed 24/7 to the point that they need to have limbs amputated, okay? And there was one clip I showed you a couple of times from the BBC. They interviewed a Palestinian man who's just one person in a group who'd been released from Israeli captivity, and yeah, they basically shot him in the leg and then had to cut off his leg. And you have other people who've been handcuffed so long and that they have to have the limbs amputated. And ironically, this Israeli broadcaster, she said that the hostage, the POW, she said that her eyebrows are better than mine, so they fired her. So, you know, you can't make any sort of claim or you know, insinuation that they're treated well under Hamas, even though it's visually clear. You know, you can see it with your own eyes that she looks healthy, she looks fit, she's smiling, she's fatter than when she went in. You know, we can see that with our own eyes. She's not even talking about that. She just said her eyebrows are better than mine. Fired. Like that's how crazy it is with the Israelis. And that's why after 24 hours, 48 hours, like the only thing they have is, oh, they cynically made me a cake for my birthday. Shit, man, you're lucky to get a cake at all. I don't know any POWs to get cakes for their birthdays, cynically or otherwise. I mean, this is just comical, really. It's like they're trying so bad to find something to say, you know, about Hamas, and they made me a cake for my birthday. Wow. Oh, okay, congratulations. But seriously, I'm not joking. Like this idea that you know, they get mistreated under Hamas and so on. It's a direct projection of what Israelis do, and I'll show you just now. Okay, I'll show you in just a second. So this is something that came out in the New York Times a few days ago, and again, it speaks to the whole hypocrisy about how Israelis claim that you know, their people are mistreated by Hamas. They say all sorts of things. Oh, they're starved. Oh, they're raped. None of it is true. And ironically, it's projection. It's things that Israelis do to Palestinians. And one of these prisons, these dungeons, we should really call it a dungeon, that's become notorious, is the Sde Teman. Okay, so if you get picked up by the Israelis in Gaza, they will likely take you to this camp, this concentration camp. And they call it a base. They call it a base. In the New York Times, they call it a base. They say inside the base where Israel has detained thousands of Gazans. I mean, really, base is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I think rape and torture dungeon is a lot more appropriate for this thing. Just to read you some excerpts here, okay? So so this is the senior nurse. He said that a female officer had ordered 2 Israeli soldiers to lift him up and press his rectum against a metal stick that was fixed to the ground. The stick penetrated his rectum for roughly 5 seconds, causing it to bleed and leaving him with unbearable pain. A leaked draft of the UNRWA report detailed an interview that gave a similar account. It cited a 41-year-old detainee who said that interrogators made me sit on something like a hot metal stick and it felt like fire, and also said that another detainee died after they put the electric stick up his anus. Okay, so just so I can be 100% clear, the Israelis literally raped someone to death with an electric baton. And then they want to come here and say that the Israeli PoWs were mistreated because they had to wash dishes. Do you see how fucking childish and psychotic these people are? That you can't reason with them. They are unhinged. They are absolutely unhinged. An Israeli Jew having to wash dishes in captivity is torture, but this is not. Mr. Al-Hamlawi recalled being forced to sit in a chair wired with electricity. He said he was shocked so often that after initially urinating uncontrollably, he then stopped urinating for several days. He said that he too had been forced to wear nothing but a diaper to stop him from soiling the floor. These are 3 paragraphs out of the entire article. The article is several pages long. I don't have time to go through the whole thing with you because of how massive it is. I mean, this is the Israeli way. This is what Zionists do. You know, that's their moral standard. I would call them barbarians, but I feel like I'd be insulting barbarians by doing that. I'm not saying that as a joke. Like, I really mean that. Here are some children also the other day who were kidnapped by the Israelis and then basically forced to strip.
في المناطق وقاعد تدور الناس وماسكين البارودة وبدهم يطفوا علينا والدبابات بجرفوا وطلعونا ويشلحون لوالي. وش كمان قالوا؟ واخذوا اخوالي واخذوا سيدي واخذوا شباب الحارة وكل النسوان وفي نسوان هناك ضل. في لسه ضايلة مرة وحجين الثاني مقعد وكمان دراجة. من أي منطقة؟ من أبو هولي. في ناس كثير موجودة في ناس بدهم يفجروا المنطقة اللي أخذوهم عند اليهود في الإخواني وشباب الحارة ضايلين عندهم بابول. الحمد لله على سلامتكم.
So you see there's a common theme here with the Israelis. I think they have some kind of obsession with rape. They really do, because they've talked non-stop about this since October 7. Oh, they raped them on October 7. They raped them during and after when they were taken hostage. You know, they made up all sorts of stories, and then we can't find one shred of evidence that anybody was raped on October 7. Nobody was raped in captivity. On the contrary, it's the Israelis who have a rape obsession, not just in what they accuse others of doing, but in their own behavior, as I just read to you from this New York Times article. Okay? And of course, if you go and look at how they treat their own people, I mean, you go and look at how female Israelis are treated in the Israeli occupation army. The irony, let me put it this way, the irony is that the POW that was rescued, her name is Noah, right? She's one of the 4. She's more likely to be raped and sexually abused now that she's in Israel than when she was in Gaza. That's a statistical fact. It's a quantifiable fact. And also, not just that, but I can tell you that Muslims in their own culture and how they treat people, they would never do that. I mean, you know, it doesn't even make sense with Hamas, because they tell you on the one second they're like, you know, religious extremists, and then they tell you that they're raping people. Which one is it? How can they be like disciplined, you know, religious fighters, and then they're raping people at the same time? It's forbidden. Their lies don't even make sense. So, you know, this is what's shocking, yeah, and this is what horrific treatment sounds and looks like. And again, these are just a few people that we're talking about. I mean, I don't understand why it takes the New York Times 8 months to talk about this place when we know already back in November, at least, that you know, during the first hostage exchange. One of the men that was released, I played you the clip at the time, he said people are being raped in the prison. They're being sexually abused in the prison. They're being left without clothes. They're being chained up. Well, why does it take CNN and the New York Times 7 months to say this? Good that they're saying it, but, you know, it's too little and it's too late. And I would not go with this this headline that they used. You know, after what I just read to you, does this headline seem appropriate? Inside the base where Israel has detained thousands of Gazans. What does that mean? Thousands of you know, arsonists from Gaza, people who like to burn buildings. What do you mean thousands of people from Gaza? You know, it's a rape dungeon. That's what the main point of it is, not the number of Gazans that are inside the base. I don't care if it's 100 people or 10 people. I care about the shocking details and testimony here about people being raped. That's maybe more important than, you know, this the number of Gazans in the base. I mean, this is really ridiculous. It's obscene, honestly. Again, I highly encourage you to go read the article yourselves, and just, you know, how crazy, how vile it is, and you'll understand very quickly that everything the Israelis say is projection, is stuff that they're doing right now to Palestinians. That every Zionist accusation is a confession. Remember that. Now, I know that's very, I know it's very depressing, but I'll show you something good, something exciting for a change, all right? Give me a second to pull this up, and you'll understand why. Okay. So we'll change to something more positive. Hezbollah have been decimating the Israelis. I mean, it's so embarrassing. When I explain to you what they have done, it's going to blow your mind. I promise you this. So for the first time in history, Hezbollah have blown up an Iron Dome battery. That's $100 million. And they've recorded it for us too. Take a look at this. That is so satisfying. It really is. $100 million gone. I mean, for all of this big talk that they have about the Iron Dome, like a piece of trash, they didn't even know it hit them. Keep in mind, they're firing at it with an ATGM. This is an anti-tank guided missile. It's the Al-Mas, which is an Iranian make, and that has been passed on to Hezbollah. I mean, just unbelievable. Just look at it. Look at the state that it's in. What a joke. What an absolute joke. So how have Hezbollah been able to do this? How did they achieve this? This is now we get to the nitty-gritty, okay? But I have to show you one last clip because of how satisfying it is, because this is in Syria, okay? The one I'm about to show you. It's in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. People forget that the Israelis don't just occupy Palestine, they occupy Syria as well. And look at the tactics here. Look at how genius this is. So first, you can see here, these are Katyusha rockets being fired by Hezbollah, okay? They're doing this to distract the Israelis, okay? They're doing this to distract the Israelis. Now the Israelis, right here, are firing their Iron Dome missiles to try and shoot the rockets down, okay? So this is a decoy. These rockets are just to see where are the Israelis firing from. Okay, now we know where to target the battery. And then, okay, so this is Hezbollah firing the rockets. That's the Israeli Iron Dome. And then Hezbollah launched the drones. Up in smoke. So that's the tactic they've been using. It's very simple. It's very simple. So it's just about good tactics, not about the specific weapon that was used. On the contrary, you could argue that the drone is very rudimentary compared to the Iron Dome. But the fact they've been able to draw the Israelis out like that is really amazing. Okay, so they just wait till the battery's empty, and then that's it. Now that's not everything. That's not everything. I wouldn't be doing the whole thing justice if I stopped here. This has been a methodical salami tactic that they've been employing for months now. Okay, so you remember most of the videos that would come out from Hezbollah were this. You would see this sort of thing, right? You'd see like towers being blown up. Okay, it's cool, but it's not very interesting. Now, what they were doing is they were basically amassing a reasonable tally of blown up cameras like this one, okay? Because they've got the Spider, they've got all sorts of sophisticated surveillance equipment on these towers. That's the reason they've been hitting them, okay? I think since October, they've hit about 1,600 targets, Hezbollah, okay? So what they've done is they've blinded the Israelis. They have blinded them, and they're also deaf now, by the way, right? So all the listening posts destroyed, the whole thing methodical for 8 months. And this is very, very sophisticated, very, very expensive equipment. And it's rendered the Israelis blind, but it's not everything. This is a massive, this Skydew balloon. Man, this is so funny. This is so funny. The Israelis launched this in January. Okay, you can see on January 7. And the whole point was to monitor incoming Hezbollah drones and missiles. Okay, so you put it up in the air and it can see very far. This is what happened to the balloon. Are you ready? So it's in Arabic, so it's the other way around, right? This is the before on the right and the after on the left. You can also see it from the top. They deflated that thing, gone, like a wrinkly ass. Nothing left of it. In addition, the Israelis also have something called the Skystar 330, okay? So that looks like this. It's a bit smaller, right? Now, this video that I'm about to show you is so insane because they not only destroyed the balloon, they even hit the drone operator. They hit the guy. You see the guy. He's on you know, he pulls out the control pad and he's gone. So you got two guys there, right? Gone. And now you can see they launch another ATGM. You can see on the left, that's what's left of both of those guys. And now they hit the cable, so the wire, okay, that links up to this balloon. That's what's being hit after they've taken out the drone operators. So you understand what they've been doing. They've taken out all the cameras, all the satellite dishes, all the you know, electronic warfare and radar and surveillance. All of these posts have been decimated. They've taken care of the balloons, the reconnaissance balloons. They've even gone after the headquarters. I'll show you now in a second. This is another clip of them going after Israelis. I mean, it's unbelievable just from, a journalistic viewpoint. We've never had any kind of footage like this in history from any combat zone. So even if you look at it from the value of the videos, I mean, yeah, they're obviously propaganda, but they're unbelievable propaganda. I mean, no one in history has published daily footage from the front lines in this manner. They give you like a geography lesson. There's a 3D map of the battle. It's really unbelievable, right? The editing is quite phenomenal. But this clip I'm about to show you, look at this. Do you see that? Man, they knew it was coming, but it was too late. They knew it was coming, but it was too late. So they hit, just a few hours ago, the 146th Division in the Israeli army. They attacked their headquarters. This is east of Nahariya. Up in smoke. Up in smoke. They hit, a few days ago, last week, they hit the 91st Division headquarters. Then the other day, actually, wait, I should show you what it looks like afterwards. Honestly, I should show you what it looks like afterwards. So this has been filmed by Israeli settlers. Then they also hit another Israeli base, Houthis, and this one was particularly bad. Look how many ambulances they had to bring.
مش كثير ناس بتعرف واحدة من أغرب الطرق القضائية. صح نحكي عن هيئة محلفين، وعندما يقول هيئة محلفين هذول مش قضاة، هذول ناس عاديين.
So they got all of these bases, and here you can see it, more of them, more of the footage. Taking out various pieces of gear. And then in addition to that, right, so they've shot down these balloons, the reconnaissance balloons. They've taken out the drones and the drone operators. And then this is already a few weeks back, but I nevertheless, I wanted to underscore just everything we've seen in the last 3 weeks. They fired the first ever airstrike, okay? So Hezbollah conducted and executed the first ever airstrike on an Israeli target. And they even filmed it as well, okay? So this was from a drone. It's not from a plane, but it's still an airstrike, technically. And you can see the rockets being fired. These are AS 5s, or SA 5s. They corrected me on the screen, S5s. I spoke too soon. Yeah, you see the white tubes coming out right there. So it's frankly quite incredible. And then just a few hours ago, they shot down a Hermes 900 drone. This is the 6th time they've done this, and each one of these drones cost 10 million. Sorry, it's the American one that costs 30 million. It's 10 million per unit. So I mean, that's 60 million in total, just from the cases that we know about. And they shot one down last week as well on the 4th of June. So I'll show you, this is the clip from today. There it is, going up in smoke as it spirals downwards. $10 million per unit. And this was on the 4th of June. It's frankly unbelievable. It's frankly unbelievable. And in addition to all this, so in addition to rendering the Israelis deaf and blind, they have now created sort of a highway where anything goes, right? The drones are going to get through. There's nothing to shoot down the drones. The rockets are going to get through. There's nothing to shoot down the rockets. The missiles, I mean, you can't, good luck shooting down the ATGMs anyway. But in addition to that, all these Israeli settlements are now on fire because of the fact that they've destroyed and all the reconnaissance and surveillance equipment, and in addition to that, the Iron Dome. So the Israeli settlements on the border with Lebanon look like this. That's what they look like. Okay, there's so many fires on a daily basis they can't even put them out. They have to bring in dozens of firefighting teams. They're completely, utterly overwhelmed. Okay, I think they've burnt. I'll have to look up the number again. If I'm not mistaken, I read it was 3,500 acres already. But I'll have to check again. Yeah, 3,500 acres at least. That's what it looks like hell. And here this user makes the point also that the Zionist settlers replaced many native plant species with European coniferous pines that are badly suited to the native ecology. Well, maybe that's also something to do with it. This is in Kiryat Shimona. You know, the entirety of Kiryat Shimona has been evacuated now. And ironically, this is what the welcome sign looks like now. I mean, what can you say, right? These people, they come in from Ukraine and from Russia and from the US and you know, they think they can just like steal the land. And then they're actually very angry. They're actually very angry that the government is more concerned with Gaza than with them, because they're actually being fired at way more than Hamas are firing at the Israelis, right? And so I'm not kidding when I say this. They actually want to secede and make their own state. I'm not kidding. These settlers, they actually want to secede from the state of Israel, and they want to do something called the state of Galilee. It's not new news. They said this a few weeks ago already, but still, it's just so funny. Up in smoke, everything up in smoke, right? And I mean, what can I say? You know. This is not just in Lebanon, by the way. It's also in Syria, in the Golan Heights. They're also on fire. You know, they look. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It looks exactly the same. The plumes of smoke are so thick you can't see anything. So, you know, let me put it this way. I mean, it's not nice, obviously, to see it burning. No one is going to care more about that than the people who own the land. But better it burn than these scumbag thieves to have it, right? Let's be very clear. It's better for all of it to burn than for these scumbag thieves, these colonizers, to have the land. I stand by that. And one thing people are also forgetting, you know, Hezbollah didn't just like randomly decide to fire these things. They're trying to stretch the Israelis thin and pull them away from Gaza, which they've succeeded in doing. And also, the Israelis have been dropping white phosphorus on Lebanon, okay? Many times. Many times. It's not even new, right? This is nothing new. There are millions of videos like this. This is from just last week. See the trails, like the distinct lines, and then you've got more high quality images of this. I mean, they've done this dozens of times, and on top of that, I think in March, it was March 27th, the Israelis, they sent in drones and they assassinated like 10 medics, 10 Lebanese medics, right? Like they sought them out. They literally sought these people out. They knew where they were, and they murdered them just because they're medics. 10 medics in one night. Very, very, you know, very clear that it's done on purpose. It's no accident. So again, you can't blame Hezbollah for defending themselves, and it's, you know, their intention is not to set fire. It's just that the drones are getting through, and they happen to set fire to the settlements. Again, there's not many people in these settlements anyway, right? Many of them have been evacuated months ago. I mean, the Israelis claim it's 80,000 people. I think we all know it's much higher than that, if not double. And they're all, you know, in hotels. I mean, you can't really call them refugees in the sense that Palestinians are refugees. When Palestinians become refugees, they have to sleep in tents on the street. These people are living it up in comparison. You know, they're being sent to government-subsidized hotels. They're all chill and relax. It's the experience is incomparable. Nevertheless, let them get a taste of their own medicine. They have caused countless people in Lebanon and in Syria and in Palestine to become refugees. Let them become refugees for once. Let's see how they like it. Give them a taste of their own medicine, right? It's karma. So this is what Hezbollah have done. They've pulled off one of the most unbelievable strategic defeats in modern history. Unparalleled. And on top of it, they recorded all of it for us. I mean, it's really, really impressive. And the Israelis know this. And this is why you have so many of them that are warning. One of them just a few days ago in Newsweek magazine, this Israeli official was saying that the next war with Hezbollah is going to be total defeat within 24 hours for the Israelis. I agree with him. The Israelis can't even defeat Hamas. And again, Hamas, they are quite strong, right? No, make no mistake. But Hezbollah have not been subjected to siege. They have had time and also the possibility to develop their infrastructure without the impediments that Palestinians face. So it's a different situation, but nevertheless, the end result is that they're much stronger. So, you know, we haven't even entered a full-scale war, and it already looks like this. How long do you think the Israelis will last if they fight an all-out war against Hezbollah? The answer is not very long. Again, let's play one more time just for kicks. Oh man, that's funny. So I'll show you something equally as impressive. Okay, I want to switch to the Yemen front and show you something equally as impressive. Now, some of you may have heard this story about the USS Eisenhower, and some of you may have not. I can understand why the Americans want to keep this out of the news as much as possible. Nevertheless, the Yemenis have never lied in a press release. They have never lied. When they say they've struck a ship, best believe they struck that ship. After all, they have the capabilities, so why doubt them? Again, this is the USS Eisenhower, okay? This is the crown jewel of the Navy. This is the crown jewel aircraft carrier of the Navy, even though it's supposed to be retired quite soon. But hear it from himself, okay? From the man himself.
من أبرز وأهم العمليات خلال هذا الأسبوع هي عمليتي استهداف حاملة الطائرات الأمريكية آيزنهاور شمالي البحر الأحمر. خلال 24 ساعة تم استهدافها ب7 صواريخ مجنحة و4 طائرات مسيرة وعلى
Okay, so that's from Abdul Malik al-Houthi himself, the head of the Ansar Allah movement, and he says it. We struck him in the Red Sea with missiles and with drones. And as I said, they've never lied. Now, here's further confirmation that this is true. The captain of the ship, who is the most bizarre name, Chowder Hill, he goes on Twitter and he says, you know, he responds in his own way by posting this video as if to say that, you know, everything is okay with the ship. Okay? And so here's the video he posted on the 1st of June. Okay? It's just a regular video. There's a jet landing, and why is he posting this video? Because you can see port and starboard. Okay, you can see both sides, the entire deck, right? You see the entire deck, and it looks fine, like no one struck it. But this video is from March. Now, there's nothing wrong with posting an old video, but when the Houthis are saying we struck the crown jewel of the United States Navy, and then the captain, the next day, his reaction is to post an old video, which just so happens to show the entire deck, that looks suspect as hell. Look, I have the proof, okay? This is the exact same video. Here it is on Twitter from the captain, 1st of June. And here it is on his Instagram on the 4th of March. It's the same video. Why would you do that? This is suspect as hell, and it just confirms to me that they struck the USS Eisenhower. And in addition, they also unveiled this new missile, which has, if you look at the tip of the missile, it's got the Palestinian kufi on it, and it's got the Arab colors on the fins. Massive, massive thing. Man, do not screw around with the Yemenis. Do not play with the Yemenis. This is not the old Yemen of 20 years ago or 15 years ago. This is a new Yemen, okay? In addition, I should point out the day before they struck the USS Eisenhower, the Yemenis shot down an MQ-9 drone, okay? That's about $30 million. And they even posted the video for us.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الموت لأمريكا الموت لإسرائيل اللعنة على اليهود والنصر للإسلام لبيك يا أقصى لبيك يا أقصى لبيك يا أقصى.
See, you can see this fireball right there. This is the heat signature. It's an infrared camera. You can see the heat signature from the rocket, the missile. And that's the moment of impact. And then it's blown to bits, literally blown to bits, to smithereens. Again, they're not the same thing. You know, just because you can shoot down an MQ-9 doesn't mean you can hit the crown jewel of the US Navy. Fine, I accept that. But they did. They did do it. They did do it. And again, the Yemenis struck yesterday, they struck the HMS Diamond in the Royal Navy. This is not difficult for them. Remember, when you're faced with an anti-ship ballistic missile, you really have 30 seconds to react. It's very easy to slip up and be hit by one of those things. Okay? It's not out of the question. Again, it wasn't just one. They hit it with I forgot the exact number, but he said several missiles and drones in the clip we watched. So, you know, they absolutely hit this ship, and then it suddenly, you know, disappeared and went out for repairs. So, you know, it's a moment of weakness for the Americans. It's likable to the Suez crisis, you could say. You have Hezbollah shooting down a Hermes 900 Israeli drone, destroying their defenses, absolutely pulverizing their defenses, setting fire to all the settlements, and then at the same time, Yemen from the south, destroying all power or image of or projection of power that the Royal Navy and the US Navy have. We've entered a new era. You have to understand this. They're not going to tell you on the news because it's so embarrassing. I'm telling you, we've entered a new era. Okay? This is a new Middle East. It's a different Middle East. They can't do whatever they want anymore. They can't do whatever they want. And the only person you can thank is Iran, the only one. Not one Arab country came to all these actors and said, here, I'm going to give you the technology to stand up for yourselves. Not one of them. On the contrary, all of those that did have the means to do so, they just selfishly bought the weapons for themselves. You know, the Saudis, they bought hundreds of billions of dollars worth of weapons and then used it against other Arabs. I mean, you know, what am I supposed to say to that? This is a video that is Yemeni, but it's not related to... I still thought to show it to you. It's a Yemeni football match. I'm just muting the music. You know, the first thing on my mind, look at him. He's running with the Kalashnikov. Everybody's got the AK-47. I'm just wondering, is the safety on? Please put the safety on. No, they're incredible. They're incredible. The Yemenis, they're really incredible. So, you know, the Americans and the Israelis have been owned. I mean, owned on a level that you cannot imagine. Half of the things that are happening, you will never hear about them because of the military censor that the Israelis have, and also just the press being so dishonest in the West. This is really, really a new era. It's unbelievable. So let me show you some of the footage from Gaza. Do you guys see that? Okay. So again, I'll show you some footage that's equally... This is footage that's equally impressive out of Gaza that's come out in the last week or so, and I've collated it for you. The Israelis, they claim to control the north, right? They say that they control places like Jabalia, and this clip just proves the complete opposite. Take a look at this, okay? And now this is 2 Israelis with 1 bullet.
يلا روح.
That bullet that they're using is a 50 caliber. And I mean, any 50 caliber, it will blow your head clean off. But the sniper rifle that they're firing it from is the Ghul. It's can you imagine? It's not something that's imported. They make it themselves in Gaza. They build it themselves because they're under siege, right? They build it themselves. Even the Qassam rocket, you know, it's built in Gaza. This is you have to make do in these conditions. Here it is. You can see in another clip how. Here, take a look.
قسما يضرب كعبة سيهزم جمعهم ولا تكذبون الساعة نعبدهم والساعة أدهى لأمر الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر ولله الحمد سقط الخنازير العظيم الله أكبر ولله الحمد.
Yeah, there's no body armor that's saving you from that. Forget about it. And here there's another one. There's another one, 2 Israelis, 1 bullet. And again, I'm showing you this because it's exceptional combat journalism. And on top of that, it shows you how the Israelis control nothing in Gaza. The fighters, the Qassam fighters, control Gaza. And the Israelis enter at their mercy.
الله أكبر الله أكبر اهدى اهدى على روحك.
That's number 3. Now this is part of an Al Jazeera investigation where they showed a 3-part ambush that the fighters had laid out for the Israelis, and it's quite incredible because after this, what happened is that the Israelis came and found the entrance to the tunnel, and the Hamas fighters had already booby-trapped it and were waiting for them. So you can just see how this team that we just looked at, the 3 who were taken out, they're under surveillance the whole time. Okay, look at this. It's kind of funny. The Israeli, he's standing there with his binoculars. He even looks into the camera and he doesn't know.
القسام تم الإسرائيلي ومساعدوه أثناء عملية الرصد التي نفذها مقاتلو القسام. تم رصد
Right, so they then get the 3 of them and then they come back.
في المرحلة الثالثة من الكمين أعاد مقاتلو القسام تجهيز فتحة النفق للاستخدام مرة أخرى. في هذه الصور الخاصة بالجزيرة تظهر عملية تفخيخ فتحة النفق استعدادا لعودة القوات الإسرائيلية. بالفعل بعد ساعات قليلة على ما يبدو ليلة الثلاثاء عادت القوات الإسرائيلية إلى المنطقة مرة أخرى كما يظهر في هذه الصور الخاصة بالجزيرة. الأهم أن الجنود الإسرائيليين وصلوا بالفعل إلى فتحة النفق المفخخة. هنا بدأت المرحلة الثالثة من الكمين.
خليهم جاهزوا حالهم بالضبط، جهز التفجير وعلى الكبسة.
أنزلت القوات الإسرائيلية روبوتا مع كاميرا ثم دخل الجنود إلى النفق لتدميره.
فجر 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 فجر.
I mean, just from where the camera is placed, and the size of the buildings, that is a massive, massive explosion. It is absolutely ridiculous. The size of that thing, because you can't see so clearly in the tunnel, obviously, right? The camera in there is probably gone. But just look at the size of that blast. No one survived that. No one survived that. So, you know, again, you see how the Qassam fighters, they're specifically targeting military assets. They're not behaving like the Israelis. The Israelis, they target civilians. And even on October 7, most of the people, they're Israeli army. In this case, they're all military targets. They're even recording it for you, so you cannot possibly deny what's going on. These are just people, you know, who are in their homes and they're resisting an invading force. They're guerrilla fighters. Guerrilla fighters, remember that. So, you know, the Israelis, they talk a lot about how militarily superior they are. October 7 destroyed that, and every day since then has just been further proof that they do not have the upper hand. They absolutely do not, in any way. That's on top of a Merkava tank, and you know, many of these Israelis, they have come on purpose to commit genocide in Gaza. Their airliner El Al was even violating safety regulations by allowing people to sit on the floor in the airplane. They were literally filling the Israeli planes with reservists who wanted to fly into Gaza and commit genocide. So it's not just that the Israelis have mandatory military service. They have come, even those who could technically escape it because they're outside of Israel, they came on purpose back there to Gaza to commit genocide, and you know, this is what awaits them, I suppose. You can see here the Qassam fighters, they even built their own rocket-propelled grenade, or alternative to the RPG. The RPG-7, and it's called the Yassin. Yeah, that's a bulldozer, the D9, which they love to, you know, destroy cemeteries and people's houses with. These are mortars being fired.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
On June the 2nd, the Israelis announced that they had sustained 46 casualties within 24 hours. Okay, so that's both officers and NCOs and the rest. Okay, so that was the highest. The highest amount of casualties in any day since October 7, all right? 2nd of June. So this is more footage from just yesterday. It's so funny. I don't know what he said before, but it almost sounded like he's asking if he's recording. Are you recording? And he said, yeah, go. So today, they set up another ambush in Gaza for the Israelis. This is what happened. The Israelis went into a building and the building was booby trapped. Okay, the entire thing collapsed on the Israelis. 18, so 4 of them were killed. 4 Israelis were killed. 18 casualties, wounded, excuse me, and then 2 soldiers. Yes, they had 2 soldiers stuck in the rubble that needed to be rescued, and then the Qassam fighters fired mortar shells at the Israelis that came to rescue them. Okay, so again, that's 4 killed, 18 injured, 2 stuck inside under the rubble, and they then fired mortars at the rescue teams. I mean, it's ironic. It's ironic. I don't know how many buildings the Israelis have collapsed on Palestinians who are just in their living rooms, because the number is quite high, and then they have a building collapse on them in Gaza. It's very ironic. It's very ironic. Taste of their own medicine. That's what it is. I think we can wrap up by playing this. I found this on Twitter, but I think it sums things up quite eloquently.
الخيارات المطروحة أمام الجندي الصهيوني.
Yeah, let me zoom out so you can see it.
عند دخوله لقطاع غزة هي الخيارات المطروحة أمام الجندي الصهيوني عند دخوله لقطاع غزة هي 4 خيارات، إما أن يسقط قتيلا أو يقع أسيرا أو أن يصاب بإعاقة مستديمة أو أن يعود بمرض نفسي إلى الأبد.
It's a nasty fate. It's a nasty fate. You know, the reason that they hate Hamas, they hate Iran, is because they stand up to colonizers. And throughout history, it's been very rare that you can resist a colonizer in this fashion, right? They're not used to this. That they're making their own weapons, they have missiles, rockets. They're not used to that, right? I'm talking about the whole resistance axis right now. So logically, there's demonization that comes as a result in the media, because the media are crap. You know, they're government mouthpieces, so they speak like the government. That's it. And, you know, just speaking of Hamas, I'll add one more thing. They want to make it seem like Hamas are the only group inside Gaza and that they're a bunch of terrorists who are just running around with AK-47s. And it's a complete, absolute lie. I'll show you, this is a clip released on the 3rd of June by the PFLP, okay? This is inside Gaza. Again, the PFLP, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, it's the second largest group in the PLO. It's completely secular. It's founded by an Arab Christian, by George Habash. And they're in Gaza and they're fighting right now with Hamas against the Israeli occupation. So how are you going to come here and tell me they're people who just hate Jews? No. Complete rubbish. Here, I'll show you 2 more. This is footage of collaboration between the Al-Quds brigades, Saraya Al-Quds, which is the armed wing of PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and the Salah ad-Din brigades, which is under the Palestine Resistance Committee. And this is from last week. You can it's a joint resistance venture. Take a look. Okay, so again, these are all groups that are not Hamas. They have different ideologies from Hamas, but they're all fighting together in one battle. So that shows you that it's an anti-colonial struggle. It's a national liberation movement. The Israelis just don't want to tell you that because it's inconvenient, because then they have to talk about the fact that they're stealing land. It's much easier to say, oh, they hate me because I'm Jewish, than they hate me because I stole their fucking house. Much easier. Here, this is in the West Bank. Also, just 2 days ago, you can see here an Israeli armored column blown up by fighters of the Quds brigades. In the West Bank. Again, this is not Gaza, it's West Bank. So again, outside of Gaza, the same acts of resistance are happening. They're happening from different groups. You can look at Hezbollah, you can look at Yemen. Again, they all have very different ideologies. You know, Syria, Iran, but one common goal, and that's the removal of American and Israeli occupation. So that debunks all of the propaganda about, oh, they're terrorists and they hate Jews. No one gives a crap about your religion. They give a crap about you stealing their land. That's it. So guys, again, I'll just remind you to please donate to this fundraiser for disabled children in Gaza. Again, if you're going to donate to me today, don't do that. Please donate to them. They need it much more, and they're trying to hit a goal. Please help them out. It's a legitimate, it's a real fundraiser, and I'll also copy in 2 more charities that you can donate to. These are in Palestine. Okay, so I'll try and put all of them in one place in the description in the chat. But again, please give your money to them, because many of you asked me before for direct links so you can help people in Gaza. This is the way to do it. And yeah, again, really, like, you guys have already bought wheelchairs for these children, so it's really, really appreciated. And you have to remember that you know, you have a lot of children that are being disabled in Gaza after conflicts because of white phosphorus, because of depleted uranium, and the same thing in Iraq, by the way. But you know, these are things that they're still using, the Israelis, and they will have, you know, severe consequences on people that are not even born yet, for example. So it's very, very important that they are helped out, especially when you know, they're trying to cut off all the aid. And the UN, for example, the World Food Program, they said today they're not going to use this pier, the genocide pier that they built for aid. They're not going to use it anymore. Like, it's so funny. It's delivered nothing for Palestinians, and then they use it to rescue 4 Israeli prisoners of war. And then, oh, it doesn't work. How typical, you know? How typical. Anyway, that's the link. And I put 2 more charities as well in the chat. So thank you guys very much. And I think we'll leave it at that for today. Again, thank you to all of you for tuning in. Please make sure you hit the like button. And if this is your first time in the channel, please make sure you subscribe. And just to announce some events. So on the 15th, I'll be in Bristol with Professor David Miller. And we're going to be holding an event for Palestine. Again, let me just pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it for yourselves. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that's Saturday the 15th. Okay, so Lauren Booth, myself, and David Miller from noon to 3 p.m. Sparks Bristol. And that's Saturday the 15th of June. And I'll put the link for the tickets in the chat and in the description. And then I'll also be in Blackburn with Chris Hedges and Craig Murray. on the 13th, and that's from, I believe, from 6 p.m. Okay, so again, I'll have all these links below in the description and in the chat. Okay, so I'll see you guys later on in the week. Thank you for tuning in, and don't worry, I'll be streaming more regularly from now on. We have to have a small break. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Take care. Ma salama. Bye bye.
A is for
all men and women created by you know the thing.
B is for
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
C is for
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
D is for
Don't worry, I'm so serious. Children, I love to hear them.
E is for
Excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
F is for
Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
G is for
Go to Joe 30330.
H is for
Hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I is for
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
J is for
Just look at the record.
I have President Biden, Vice President Biden.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
K is for
Kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
L is for
The lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
M is for
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone, make sure the kids hear words.
N is for
NATO.
O is for
The only African American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate.
P is for
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
R is for
Rest her soul, and although she's your mom's still alive.
S is for
Send a text to the word united.
T is for
Truth over facts.
U is for
Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future.
V is for
I'll vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much. W is for
Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
X is for
Xi Jinping.
Y is for
And you ain't black.
Z is for
She's sleeping?
Women in our country has been classified as essential. So this is an issue.
By the way, this is my little sister Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh no, this is you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.